Good morning, beautiful being. It's great to be here with you. Yeah, you. It's great to be here with you. And I'm going to chance it actually. I'm going to take this off, put it on top of a bamboo stake. The sun isn't presently out and blinding me, but it's there if I need it. So we're out in the garden, and there's the house behind me, which means there's a garden in front of us, and there it is. There is the magnolia. You can see the cherry in the background. But we just got to savour this, because it's beautiful. There's nothing missing with a magnolia, and this one is great because it flowers after the worst of the spring winds. They always come and wipe the other ones out, but this one, being late to the party, is perfectly timed. Look at the branch structure there. Yes, I've pruned it with some care over the years to make it like that. Good morning, Jen. Just savouring this magnolia. It's wonderful. Good morning, Linda. It's a very great pleasure, this tree. And it has become a small tree. It's very slow. Good morning, Heather. It's taken, 20, 30 years to get this big. And behind there is something that will flower in summer. That's another magnolia, but it's a summer flowering one. Let's enjoy these cineraria, which are no longer doused in water, so you can see all the details. Look at that. Look at this. It's like a spiral. And this is like a little firework that's gone off. I just love how the centre of the flower changes as it opens and ages. Misty, good morning. You are just organising time so well. I congratulate you. And look at this one. See how it's almost, it's magenta really. I was going to say it's almost red. It's magenta in the centre. That's not really supposed to rhyme, but it does. And this wonderful bright purple around it. So, bright colours. And of course, we have to enjoy the cherry tree. There is nothing missing. I mean, really. It always makes me think of boxes of tissues, but, tissues aren't this beautiful. It's always tricky to show it off as well because it's a bit backlit. But there you are. It's quite fabulous having a cherry tree. Trusses of flowers, even though, it's looking pretty sparse because we had it pruned. Or I had it pruned. I'm the sort of garden meister here. But there you can see it a bit better. So there is the fabulousness of late spring, and we have to keep enjoying the bluebells because they're blue and they're fabulous. Let's get up close and personal, see the detail. Look at that. I just love these things. Simple and glorious. And this is the willow gentian. It won't flower until autumn. But it's wonderful when it comes up. I love the foliage. All right, what else have we got here? Roses. I love fresh rose foliage. It's so beautiful. And look, the flowers won't be long. The November flush of flowers and the fuchsia gearing up. Yes, I did prune it, but they have very sparse things. And it's quite hard to strike a balance between something that's sparse and something that's so small you can't see it. And here is the thalictrum. I love this foliage. It's so, so beautiful. Goes this sort of vaguely grey-green, but this one is pretty green, not much grey. Almost lime-coloured. Really appreciate it. Okay, so turning the camera around. Where do I want to start? I want to start with people that we love to hate, really. I want to start with people that we struggle to deal with situations and people in particular. It's just, oh my God, And there is at least one on the world stage that anybody who's listening to this can go, I really don't like that person. And you bring them to mind and 1,000 thoughts come into your head about how awful they are and how you'd like to mock them and what you'd say to them and what you say to your friends when you happen to talk about that person, right? Whether what you're saying is justified or not, by the way, it just doesn't matter. That's the situation I'm talking about because I observed it recently between a couple of people that I love and who are amazing and elevated in consciousness, but they were doing this and they were doing it quite gently. It wasn't hateful, it wasn't cruel. It's a bit windy out here. I hope it might just be a bit noisy. I have to go inside soon, but it's so nice out here, flowers. And I thought, actually, this is something I want to talk about because it's terribly human to do. It's terribly human to look at someone that you don't like and their behaviour, which may indeed be absolutely reprehensible, and want to pick at them, or poke at them, or to mock them, to make yourself feel better because they're so awful. And I thought, well, what really is the deal about this? It is noisy. Let's go inside. Keys are in the other pocket. Excuse me. You can just enjoy. Oh shit! I just turned off the volume. It's about where the key is. Bear with me. No, keys are not in this pocket. Keys are buried under the clock. Okay, grabbing the keys, grabbing my hat, which I definitely am not going to need inside. Okay, so it's quite a challenge. How do you deal with, think about, feel about, talk about really challenging, difficult, even disgusting, reprehensible people? What do you do? And so I wanted to think about this because I had to really, kind of drill into it and think, well, what would I say? It's all very well to say, oh, well, you shouldn't do that, but that's not much use. I don't like to say what you shouldn't do. I want to say what you should do. Hold on a minute. I'm just getting my little improvised stand organised here. Put the phone down. Here we go. Because the thing is, the way that we respond and react and talk about and think about and relate to people that we really can't stand says much more about us than it does about them. Really? Yeah, really. So let me see if I can unpack that and make sense of it. Because the person that you don't like, whoever they are, whatever they've done, is actually a test of your wisdom, of your compassion, of your love, and your strength. And it is never about saying, oh, that's all right. They can do what they like. It's not about condoning. You see, this is the thing. As people, we get polarised by people we can't stand, and we say they're good, they're bad. That is amazing, and I support that, and I'm going to fight anybody that resists it. I believe in this person. You don't, therefore, you suck. And now we're talking smack about those people that disagree with the person that we agree with, right? It can go in both directions. Or you can look at the person and go, that person is just awful, and you're going, oh, aren't they awful? Don't we just love to hate them together with your friends? That situation, what do you do? And I really had to think, well, what is an appropriate, elevated, compassionate, loving to me way to respond to people I really don't like? Because there are people in the world I really don't like. Truly. And notice I say it's elevated and compassionate to me. Now, why is that? If I am sitting in a space to go, oh, that person, they're so ridiculous, they're so pathetic, they should have this, and this happen to them. You can't have a thought about somebody else with having corresponding chemistry, and if that thought is not elevated, you're getting not elevated chemistry. I talked about that yesterday. You can't do it to someone else without doing it to yourself. You can't mock, for example, or take down or disparage somebody else without feeling that sense of, oh, I'm better than they are. They're, and then you're giving yourself that chemistry. It's not good chemistry. It's not good for yourselves. And you're making this polarity saying, I'm better than that person. Them, us, separation. What? We don't, no. And core at the centre of this, which I'm going to try and talk about without sounding all philosophical and sweetie pie and, gold hearts and little butterflies about it, is the fact that the most reprehensible person on the planet right now is still a piece of source. Still source energy in a body making choices, which we all have absolute freedom about what choices we make. And of course, some will think, well, they're making bad choices, they should be punished. Well, according to the laws and the justice and whatever it is that's going on in a country, they will or they won't, depending on how effective that is. But bear in mind that what is thought of as just and right changes over time. It does. to use an extreme example, how many 100 years ago was it that people who are now being celebrated for their intuitive gifts were caught, rounded up, and had horrible things happen to them before they died because they were thought of as evil? The bar moves. What we think of as right and good and wrong and bad is totally malleable and it's totally subjective, and we just think, oh no, that'll never change, that'll always be good, that'll always be bad. And those of you who've been with me for a long time know I've said this before and I'll say it again. I would not be here if Adolf Hitler hadn't done his thing in World War II. My parents would never have met. My father and his family came out of Vienna just before the border closed. They had to escape because my grandfather was a political person, and Hitler just one day he was a public servant, and the next day he was in a concentration camp. And my grandmother ran around in very tight circles finding a way to get him out, and she managed it. That, potted history. I would not be here. There's a lot of people who wouldn't be here if what happened in the 1939 and 40s didn't happen. Is it good? Is it bad? Shit, I don't know. Was it horrible at the time? Yeah! But can we say with absolute certainty that anything is good or bad, or any person and what they do is ultimately good or bad? I don't think we can. I really don't think we can, because we are right here now in this instant in time. In 5 years, 10 years, 500 years from now, you don't know what the impact of this current crisis is. Pandemic, war, whatever. You don't know. So it's very easy to go off and say, oh, well, this person's really behaving badly and that person's behaving good. You just don't know. So I come back to the fact that every single human being walking around on the planet is a piece of divinity. And that's pretty hard to stomach when you see what some of them are doing. But you see, then if I say, well, hang on a minute, that person is so evil that I can judge them, and that person is really, they're still so evil that I can judge them, but those people are okay. Well, how do you draw the line? At what point do you say, no, somebody is so not divine that they've lost their divinity and I can do whatever I like to them, I can think whatever I like about them, and it's justified? At what point? It's so subjective. And, and there's friends that I'm talking to at the moment who are dealing with a kind of cultural apartheid. And it's incredibly painful. And the people who are perpetrating have no idea that it's bad. They don't even see it. It's just normal. Not for the person who's experiencing it. It's excruciating. Good, bad, shit, I don't know. And the people who are doing it are all lovely people and they're doing their best and they think they mean well. Are they all devils? So the moment you try to say, oh, well, this person deserves to have me think badly about them and that person doesn't, you're in really shaky ground. You just can't say. So for me, even the people that I most truly despise because of their choices. And I say that and I think, no, you see, I can't even really despise the people whose choices I despise. I despise choices that are being made over and over and over again for negative and for lack and for lower consciousness. It's like, how can you do that? To that person, it makes sense. I cannot despise the person. Because they're the same piece of divinity that I am. They're the same slice. They're a slice of the same cake. They are a piece of God. And for me to make myself separate from them in that way, it denigrates me. I haven't even managed to work out how that is, how that works. But for me to say, oh, you are awful, it hurts something in me to do that. To say, your behaviour is appalling. I still recognise you as a piece of God. Your behaviour is appalling. That's quite different. And then, so that's the challenge. And I was thinking really deeply about it. I still don't have all the answers. But what I did want to say is, when those people turn up whether they do it on the world stage or they're just in your life. The deepest challenge that we ever face is not actually facing success and wonderfulness can be scary because it can be so unknown. It's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. But when somebody out there or close to you or whatever is behaving badly, it is the deepest test of who you are as a person, is how you react to them and how you respond to them and how you think about them when and you're not even noticing, what you say about them to your friends when you think no one else is listening to them. And whether those thoughts and those feelings and those words and ultimately your actions come from a place of respecting that human being without necessarily accepting or condoning or anything what they're doing. It's a deep, deep question because, this person may be doing serious things. They may be hurting other people. And you may be in a position to do something about it. So how do you honour that person and still not condone the behaviour? And there isn't a simple answer for that sometimes. Sometimes there is no way to keep everybody happy. And sometimes it's like, oh my God, I know what I need to do, and this person is not going to like me. They might disown me. They might never speak to me again. But I know in my heart that if I continue to accept the way they're behaving, even by my silence, to say, oh, well, it's okay. When you really, really know that it's not, that really hurts you. That is really painful for you to sit by and watch somebody behaving badly and hurting other people and not do anything about it. It's a very deep test of your character and who you are as a person. What do you do? So what do I do? And I'm faced with these things from time to time. And almost inevitably, unless I've encountered something similar before, the first time I encounter a particular situation like that, whatever it is, it takes me time. I have to dig very deeply inside myself. I have to get past all my reactions. I have to get past all my, oh, for feck's sake, just stop being like that. Why are you so stupid? Why are you so whatever? I have to get past all of that. And I have to come deeply enough into the truth of who I am, who I'm choosing to be, is compassionate, powerful, loving, evolved, strong. I won't put up with shit, but I still love you as a person being. And figure out how that is actually going to work out in real life. And it's hard. Because I often have to face my own fear of being rejected or being wrong, or even worse, this is the biggest one for me actually, will I hurt that person? Not even will I hurt their feelings. Will I hurt that person? Essentially by saying, no, your behaviour is unacceptable. You're amazing, I love you, and I do. I can look at various people around the world whose behaviour I find reprehensible, and I still recognise them as a piece of divinity, and I love that divinity, and I can even recognise that they might be playing an important part in history or in my life. Doesn't mean I like them. I can love a person without liking them. But it doesn't mean I sit by and do nothing. So how do I acknowledge and respect the person, treat them with as much respect as I would want to be respected if I was screwing up royally? Oh, how do you want to be treated when you screw up? Because you do. Everybody does. Well, you want to be treated like a human being. You don't want people to shit on you. Oh, how easy is it to shit on people we don't like? To say, oh, idiot, whatever. You don't want them to shit on you. You want them somehow to approach you with compassion and clarity and strength and tell you what they'd like to be different and give you the choice about what you do and respect your choice. And the funny thing is, if you manage to do that really well, about 80% of the time, people come to the party and they up their game and they improve. And there's the 20% who say, no, I'm absolutely happy being like I am, piss off, I'm going away. But it's a very, very deep dance for me to think, this is actually an opportunity for me to grow because I've got to work out how to show up with this person. And it's an opportunity for them to elevate themselves out of this old crappy behaviour that they might have been doing for ages. What if this is a fantastic opportunity for them and I get to be the person who presents it to them? How can I do that best? What's the best way? What can I say? What can I do? What can I not say? What can I not do? How do I need to hold myself and my energy and my state of being as I approach dealing with this situation? Which means that it's most likely to turn out well for them. That is what you have to work out. That's what I have to work out when I'm faced with saying no to somebody or saying, I'm sorry, that can't continue. It's a very deep conversation. To respect the person and their divinity and their free will without condoning behaviour or whatever it is, that's unacceptable. And most of us run away from it because it requires a really deep conversation with yourself about who you want to be and how you're going to show up. And then how the hell do I actually do that? And for most of us, it's easy to say, we just blow a person off or yell at them or don't say anything. It's like we go to the polarities, the extremes, but to actually walk the middle road, yeah, it really demands a lot of me. But I'm not willing to go to the extremes. I'm not willing to collapse and say, oh, well, I'm not doing anything, or to just say, oh, piss off, you suck, you're horrible. I got to find that middle road where the truth is, because that's where I get to embody myself with the most compassion and love and strength. That's where I get to grow, and it's where I don't hurt myself, because I don't hurt them. They may not like what I'm doing, they may react, they may say, oh, you hurt my feelings. But if I know in my heart of hearts that I've shown up the best I possibly can, the most wise and the most compassionate and the most strong that I can, then I don't feel nearly as challenged by however they react as I would if I was in doubt about myself. So that's what I wanted to share today. It's a challenging thing to try to explain. I think I more or less landed, at least for myself. Really, it's this middle road. To go to either extreme, I think you've missed the mark. But to do it takes enormous thought for me. It takes meditation. It takes really deciding how I want to show up and how that works out in 3 dimensions and what words I'm going to say and what I'm not going to think, all of that. It's a real deep dive. But it's worth doing. Big love. Thank you so much for sharing with me. I'm looking forward to seeing your comments because Facebook hasn't shown me anything for a last little while. Until then, much love. Bye-bye.